Welcome, dear students, to a new class on this site, that is my YouTube channel. Now, today's class is meant for the fourth semester students, fourth semester CBCS. So the paper is paper 8, that is the 18th century. You know, the three papers in your semester are chronologically designed. The first paper of the fourth semester, the 18th century British literature. Now that 18th century, we know 18th century is an age noted for the rise of satire due to various reasons like the rise of political parties, political controversies, etc. that we can go into in some other class. Today we are dealing with that particular genre which flourishes in this particular age called the 18th century. So we are discussing today what satire is. To begin with, a definition, and for definitions the best book to go to is of course M.H. Abrams' Glossary of Literary Terms. There you will find satire is defined as the literary art of diminishing or derogating a subject or object by making it look ridiculous. So we laugh at something or someone or some institution, or sometimes even the whole human race is laughed at, and that is we make it look ridiculous through the use of satire. And satire makes use of irony, humor, wit, parody, burlesque, etc. So satire is a kind of mixed amusement actually, and that is why the etymology of the word satire tells us that the word satire ultimately comes from the Latin word Satura, which means the vessel where the harvest produce is kept. So satire refers to a mixed sort of an amusement at harvest time, and that is the etymology. Of course, today we might not find much connect between this satire and this satura. For the historically etymologically interested, we can of course refer to this. So that is what a satire is. You diminish or derogate a subject by making it look ridiculous by using irony, wit, humor, etc. Now, why do you do so? You do so with the aim of reform. That is, you want to correct. It has satire has a corrective motive, but at the same time, it is said good satirists do not attack the person. They attack human follies, vices, and hypocrisies. So even if satire, a political satire, for example, may be about a particular time, still it has universality. It rises above the age because satire talks about human follies, vices, and hypocrisies, which are universal. So that is what a satire is. And then it is also said that satirists do not, as I said, they do not attack the sinner, they attack the sin. That is how we can explain that. Plus, satirists attack only those follies which are corrigible. That means a good satirist will not attack someone, for example, for his short stature or for his long nose. He is not responsible for those traits. So satire attacks only those traits, those follies which are corrigible, which the man can correct, and for which he is himself responsible. So that is what a satire is. And the 18th century was the great age of satire, and we had people like Swift, Pope, and later on we had Dr. Johnson as well. And in your class I shall be dealing with two texts, particularly Gulliver's Travels and London. So one is a prose work, the other is a poem. So satire as a genre cuts across verse and prose divisions. So originally, of course, the satire was a poetic genre. Today, satire, we can say, is a hybrid sort of a thing. Satire can use verse or prose or even a mixture of both. So what makes a work a satire is not the verse or the prose. What makes it a satire is the intent of the writer. If the motive of the writer is to ridicule or derogate or diminish the butt of ridicule, then it's a satire. Gulliver's Travels is a prose work. You can say it's a novel even, of course, subject to arguments. But it's a satire because it is clear when you read the work that Swift's object here is to ridicule human folly. The whole human society is ridiculed here. That is why it is a satire. Now coming to the different classifications, different types of satires. There are different types of satires. Originally I said it was a poetic form, but now satires can be prose as well as poetry, or a mixture of both as well. So in different media you can find satire. Now as far as the types of satire are concerned, there are what we call broadly direct satire, direct or formal satire, then indirect satire. In the direct satire, the writer, the satirist creates a satiric persona who speaks in the first person I, and he addresses either the reader or another character in the work who is called the adversaries. That kind of a satire is called a direct satire or a formal satire. Now direct satires are again of two kinds: Horatian and Juvenalian. Both are ancient Greek, classical Roman, Latin writers, not Greek. Now, Horatian comes from Horace, Juvenalian comes from Juvenal. The difference between these two is that Horatian satires are mild and tolerant, urbane and witty. Juvenalian satires are very scathing, caustic. The criticism is very aggressive, very bitter. The criticism is. That is the difference in tone between Horatian satires and Juvenalian satires. Both the satires, of course, are direct satires or formal satires. Then there are indirect satires. Indirect satires, you don't find this direct address. Indirect satires are in the form of a narrative. Prose narratives are sometimes intermixed with verse. So a narrative is created, and the characters make themselves ridiculous. So this indirect satires, first of all, we have what is called the Menippean. Menippean satire from Greek philosopher Menippus. His satires were of this kind. He creates a narrative, a story, and through debate and dialogue, the characters make themselves ridiculous. That is how his satire works. Menippean satire, of course, again is called Varronian as well, from the Latin satire is Varro. So Menippean or Varronian. Menippus, the Greek philosopher; Varro, the Latin writer. What happens there? A narrative, prose narrative, intermixed with poetry, maybe sometimes verse. But what is the important thing is that there the characters through dialogues and discussions make themselves ridiculous. A similar indirect satire, Menippean, and then we have what is called Lucianic. Lucianic comes from Lucian, who is he was from Syria, but he writes in Greek. He is also a famous satirist, and what he makes popular is satire through imaginary travels. In one of his satires, he narrates a travel to the moon. So satire through imaginary travels. Now that will bring to you what is called our Gulliver's Travels. In Gulliver's Travels, Gulliver visits various strange islands. In one island, the people are 6 inches tall. In another island, 75 feet high. Similar, 4 strange islands he visits. But that is only a means. The end is satire of human follies. So that way, Gulliver's Travels, in that sense, is a Lucianic satire, because Lucian popularized that kind of satire where the method is this kind of a narration, where there is a visit to a strange place. So that is Lucianic. But you can a particular work can have different characteristics. Gulliver's Travels, for example, is a Lucianic satire because it is about strange voyages. At the same time, the attack is so scathing, so bitter, that it is Juvenalian. So that way we'll have to look at satires. So that is what from the definition from M.H. Abrams, literary art of diminishing or derogating an object by making it look ridiculous, use of wit, humor, irony, burlesque, parody, etc., comes from the word satura, harvest vessel, where the harvest produce is kept. So it's a kind of mixed entertainment, that as in that harvest season, mixed sort of an entertainment. That is the connection with its original word from which we derive the word satire. Corrective motive, and attack only those things for which the person or the object is responsible. You hate the sin, not the sinner, that sort of a thing. Then originally verse form, but then it spread to other forms as well. What makes a work satire is its motive. Then we have different kinds of direct or formal, where there is a direct satiric persona I addressing either the reader or the adversaries. Direct or formal satires are Horatian or Juvenalian, from Horace and Juvenal, classical Roman satirist. Horatian, witty, urbane, tolerant. Juvenalian, very scathing, very robust critic. Then indirect satire in the form of a narrative, prose mainly, sometimes interspersed with verse. Menippean, from Greek menippas, and then imitated by Varro who writes in Latin. Varronian satire, their dialogues and discussions through that characters are made ridiculous. Then we have the Lucianic kind of satire, where you have imaginary travels as the means to the end. The end is, of course, making things and people look ridiculous. So this is what satires are. These are the different classifications of satire. So I focused on this particular topic today because before we start my allotments in this particular paper, Gulliver's Travels and London, that Juvenalian poem, we have to have a good idea of what a satire is. By now, I think, I'm sure you have a basic knowledge of what satire is. From this position, we can now easily get into the particular text and what is that called, deconstruct them and analyze what kind of satires they are. So I hope this will help you. It will supplement our brick and mortar classes. I hope to meet you again in this kind of online classes as well. Thank you.